What the hell just happened? The Jets won, but a win's a win. All right, well, let's get into it, everybody. It's time for the New York Jets post-game show after beating the New York Giants 13-10. What the hell?
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. Wow. That's hard to put into words. Hey, everybody, my name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com, and we're streaming live as we do after every single New York Jets game this season, 2 hours after the final whistle for our live post-game show. And this is a show by the people for the people. Wherever you're watching, in particular, it's available on Facebook and YouTube. It's the pinned comment on YouTube. We have a live video link to join. It's called the Cam 631 Laser Hotline. If you'd like, click that link if you'd like to jump on the show and react or vent or what have you to the Jets' improbable, disgusting, ugly win over the New York Giants. You'll hop up in the green room. I'll do a little monologue here, give you some stats, quotes, video, content, and a few others. Then we'll bring you on the show. So all you need is a camera and be somewhere relatively quiet, and we'll bring you on the show. So feel free to maximize that lifeline. Again, pinned at the top of our YouTube, also available as the first comment on the Heavy Young Jets Facebook page. How did that happen? How? The Jets beat the Giants 13-10. Despite this, here's a couple of things. Jermaine Johnson has a dumbass penalty. I mean, it may be one of the worst penalties I've ever seen. Tommy DeVito is wrapped up. It's going to be fourth down. The Giants are going to attempt a field goal. The Giants at the time are down 7-3 with even a successful field goal. It would be 7-6. Jermaine Johnson late just whacks Tommy DeVito as he's already wrapped up by Jets defenders. The refs, of course, throw a flag, 15 yards, and it goes from a potential field goal attempt to a New York Giants touchdown. Game changes, of course, dramatically. Instead of 7-3 or maybe 7-6 if they convert, it's 10-7, and that is the score of the game throughout the majority of the regulation until the Jets come back to tie it. What an absolute trash, dumb penalty. And that's not dumb on the officials. That's dumb on Jermaine. Jermaine, what are you doing, man? There is a line that you can have a level of violence, viciousness, and you have to play until that fine line. That was dumb. Here's another one. This one is massive. I couldn't believe it when I saw the final numbers. Michael Clemens, okay? It's 4th down and 5. The Jets have stopped the Giants' offense. There is 7:59 on the clock in the fourth quarter. Michael Clemens jumps on a punt. It converts a first down. And instead of the Jets getting the ball again with on the clock with 7 minutes and 59 seconds, after the penalty, the Jets didn't get the opportunity to get the ball back till 2:47 in the fourth quarter. That's unbelievable. That is a near fatal mistake. That is a near 5-6 minute do the math on that mistake from Michael Clemens that coulda, shoulda, woulda cost the New York Jets a game. And with all of that, and we could go to the official numbers in a second, the Jets needed everything to go their way to win. Here's that final drive in regulation, okay? So the Jets get the ball back with 24 seconds on the clock. They're down 3. Okay, they're down 3, and there they are on their own 25-yard line after a touchback. Again, the Jets are down 3, 24 seconds left, no timeouts. They have nothing left, okay? Zach Wilson completes a pass to Garrett Wilson in the middle of the field for 29 yards, and again, at the start of the play, okay, there's 24 seconds. So, oh boy, from snap, 24 seconds when they get the ball to Garrett, Oh boy, a lot of time could run off. Hey now, Kayvon Thibodeau was offsides. So the Jets, of course, declined that penalty because they want the massive gain from Garrett Wilson, which was 29 yards, but it stops the clock at 17 seconds. So the Jets essentially get free money on the time. So then when they snap the ball again, there's 17 seconds on the clock. Zach Wilson finds Alan Lazard for 29 yards. He goes down, and the Jets are scrambling. They're running up there. And I'm looking at the clock. Alan Lazard's body falls with about 8 seconds left. And I'm like, oh, boy. He threw it for like 30 yards. Man, this team has to be hopping to even have a chance to spike it. And I'm like, looking at the clock on. And Zach Wilson gathers everybody up, and I'm counting 3, 2, 1, hike spike, and I'm like, no way, he got it. And of course, Greg Zuerlein, of course, has to hit that field goal, which, by the way, was 35 yards. So he had to hit the field goal. But what a journey that the Jets had everything break right. They had the huge completion to Garrett Wilson. They had the penalty on the same play, so they can keep the gain from Garrett Wilson and stop the clock at the same time. And then the Alan Lazard play, which had just enough time, the hair on their chinny chin to push this game into overtime. Now, ever since Tyrod Taylor got injured in the second quarter, they threw out Tommy DeVito. We all know him locally here where I'm recording this from Syracuse because he played here at Syracuse football. So when he came into the game, I'm like, oh my goodness. I knew he was on the team because we do sports talk radio around here. But I went, oh man, this is great because like Tommy DeVito, in my experience covering him, is he can get really flustered with the pass rush, but the Giants didn't allow him to even throw the ball. And they were able to do that because they maintained that lead after that 10-7. We talked about the Jermaine Johnson penalty earlier. So the whole game, they don't have to pass. So the Jets defense, I'm like, we're getting slogged here. -8, -9 passing yards, and they're going to lose this game. What in God's green earth is freaking happening here? And then when they push it overtime, I'm like, perfect. I hope the Giants win the toss and they can choose to receive. Then the Jets defense can flex its muscles against a quarterback that hasn't been forced to throw the ball the entire game. Jets can win field position or walk it off with a Xavier Gipson touchdown or maybe, a defensive play of some sort. So I was like, phenomenal. When the Giants won the toss, I said, this is great news. The Jets are going to get the ball. And of course, they end up winning the game. I was a little iffy there. When the Jets get the 1st and 10, and I'm like, let's just punch in a touchdown. Let's not play around with a potential field goal. Let's just score a touchdown. And Robert Saleh calls the timeout, trots out the field goal. I'm like, oh my God, if you miss this, it doesn't matter if it's 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down. If you attempt a field goal and miss it, the other team automatically takes over. You don't get 4 whacks at the pinata to try. So I was really, really nervous. I'm like, oh boy, but it's raining and anything could happen. You don't want to turn the ball over, and you had a chance to win the game. They win the game right there. Wild, unbelievable. I was ready to come on here and react to not the Jets' improbable ugly win over the Giants, but rather react to the worst, most embarrassing loss in Jets history. That's what it would have been. With everything that transpired in this game, for the Jets to lose this, coming off that Eagles game, coming off a bye, to lose this. And thankfully, of course, they did not. Thank goodness. And here's how I ultimately kind of bottle and encapsulate this Jets win. At halftime, we realized all the injuries, which I'll give you guys a quick update here on the injuries. 3 key injuries we're watching. First off, one no longer needs watching. Al Woods, torn Achilles, out for the season. Brutal. That is the 3rd Jets player this season to suffer a torn Achilles. Absolutely brutal. And I love Al Woods. Good locker room guy. Loved him at the podium. Good run stuffer. That's a very unfortunate loss. And the other 2 come on the offensive line, Connor McGovern and Wes Schweitzer. Saleh did not give updates on either of those 2, said they need further medical examination, although it doesn't look good. Zach Rosenblatt said, I think Connor McGovern was heavily limping, and then Wes Schweitzer was on crutches. So neither looks good, and that's not good news. So TBD on all of that stuff in terms of the injury. So that's brutal. But how I encapsulate this win is at halftime when all the injuries are happening and Tommy DeVito's in the game and it looks like he's going to be there the rest of the way. That was confirmed shortly after the second half started. This is one of those where Jets, this is not ideal. Obviously, in our pre-show this morning, I predicted a Jets win 24-6. I thought the Jets had an opportunity here to flex their proverbial muscles. Now, they did not, obviously. some injuries and rain and all these other factors and just poor everything, not just, penalties, Zach Wilson misfiring, play calling was horrid, drops, so many drops in this game. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why that didn't happen, but there's an audible. At halftime, you're like, okay, Paul, your 24-6 win ain't happening. However, win the game and figure it out after. Because we could talk about the Giants, right, on Sunday Night Football a couple weeks ago. They nearly beat the Bills. And all you hear from Giant fans, man, we should have beat them. We should have beat them. They didn't. The Jets, in the middle of this game, a lot of people are like, oh, the Giants are going to win. This is an embarrassing loss. The Jets just had to find a way, and they did. Survive and advance. That's what this league's about. There's a massive difference for the New York Jets at 4-3 to potentially being 3-4 losing to the Giants. Massive difference. Good teams find a way. In less than ideal circumstances, everything was going wrong for the New York Jets. Everything was going wrong in this game. Injuries, drops, the Jets' inexplicable play calling was god-awful. The penalties. The Jets ended up with 9 penalties for 85 yards. Disgusting. They turned over the ball twice. Both of those Zach Wilson fumbles. The first one definitely on Zach. It is what it is. KT gave him the old strip sack. The second one, I don't really blame on Zach. Zach did, to his credit in the postgame, took full responsibility for that fumbled botch snap with the brand new center, Xavier Newman, who came in on his first snap of the season. And so that's just incredibly unfortunate. But they lose the turnover battle 2 squad. They have unbelievable penalties. Like everything that could go wrong was going wrong for this team. And they found a way to overcome the odds. They found a way. And that's the thing that I'm going to hang my hat on. Some of you will get to some of your comments, so feel free, everybody, no matter where you're watching, the Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitter, feel free to get involved in the comment section. YouTube Super Chats, if you'd like to support the live stream or me personally, we'll skip the queue and we'll answer those immediately. Also, like I said, pinned to the top of our YouTube channel and also on Facebook, the top comment is a video link, a Cam 631 laser hotline. I'd love for you guys to join me on the show. We do it every single week, and I'd love to talk to you guys about this game or whatever you'd like to talk about. Questions if you have them, or you just want to vent, say something, then drop the mic and hop off. Either way, feel free to utilize that feed. That is there for you guys. But the Jets won, and to me, that's most important. We can figure out the offensive line stuff this week. There's some pickups have to be coming. The NFL trade deadline is on Tuesday. There's a lot to figure out there. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. But the good news for me and how I look at it personally is you got the win. You're 4-3. Now you got up next a Monday Night Football game against the Chargers. You have a few days to try to regroup. You've got the win. Now you regroup. You figure out what the hell's going on, what offensive lineman's playing where, because not every game is obviously going to be like this. 2 weeks ago, the Jets beat the Philadelphia Eagles, who were in the Super Bowl. This, if anything, proves that the NFL is a week-by-week league. You got to strap up, play the opponent you play, and then you wipe the slate clean and you get ready for the next opponent. That's what the Jets did in this game by winning it and then, obviously survive in advance. And that's obviously what this team was able to accomplish. So let's get this in while we're waiting for some callers to hop on. I want to give a shout out to Zach friggin' Wilson. This kid has his swag, and I just love it. It's palpable energy. This guy is transforming. This guy is becoming a man in front of our very eyes, and you just absolutely love to see it. Here's Zach Wilson. After the game, he was asked about that moment of the defense gets the stop. It's his opportunity to get out there on the football field. What is he going to do? And Zach Wilson gave the most swagalicious answer I've ever heard. Here is Zach Wilson after the game, post-game, showing that he is a matured young man. Here's Zach Wilson.
With 24 seconds left, what's going through your mind there? Do you really think you have a chance? Obviously, can you just take us through that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously done it before in the past, getting us a big chunk. How much time left to be able to clock it? It was actually almost the same play too. So, I would just say unbelievable grit and battle by the guys. Absolutely no waver in belief there at all, including me. Didn't doubt at all. When I saw our defense got a stop there, I was like, 24 seconds, no problem. We've shown we can do it in 2 minutes all year. So, great fight by those guys. Obviously, we got to find a way to be better offensively, but defense is playing lights out, and we got to be more consistent for those guys.
Unbelievable. 24 seconds, meh. No problem. Zach freaking Wilson, everybody. Oh, Zach Wilson is becoming a man, baby, and you love to see it. So that was a great comment from Zach Wilson after the game. Again, we share all of the clips in the Twitter sphere. So at BoyGreen25, if you guys would like to hear some more of these clips, I want to go to this other one from Zach. It's going viral right now. Because so in the game, the Jets obviously have a ton of offensive line injuries. They're moving people all over the place. And there's a moment in the game where the Jets bring in at center Xavier Newman. He was a practice squad call-up. He's been on the team for like 2 weeks or something. He's been here for like no time whatsoever. And on his first snap at center, he was playing some guard when he had to come in. His first snap at center, it's a fumbled, muffed exchange. Giants immediately get the turnover. And Zach Wilson revealed the conversation he and Xavier Newman had in that moment. Absolutely cool. So amazing. And again, continues to show the maturity of Zach Wilson. Here's that footage.
What was it like when you first Connor goes down, then West goes down, you're down to Xavier Newman? Like, how wild was that sequence there for you?
Yeah, it hurts, obviously. But I thought an unbelievable job by, X and then West, first moves to center and then X steps in and then Billy's at guard. And, unbelievable job by those guys just being ready to go. Me and X have never even taken a snap together. So it was like, hey, let's lock in and get this right. And, he asked me on the fumble, like, was that me or you? And I'm like, dude, that's me. We just haven't practiced these, like I'm out there trying to figure out, where to put my hands to be comfortable for you. And so I was like, we just got to move on. Next play, screw it. That kind of stuff's going to happen in a game like this. So, keep your head up. We're going to keep going. And I thought unbelievable job by those guys fighting.
I just can't believe that voice you just heard is the same quarterback that people were making fun of, the same guy that in the New England Patriots game, hey, do you feel like you let down your defense? No, I didn't. To have that guy last season, and by the way, that game looked too intimately familiar in terms of the lack of offense and looked like a game was going to escape. This Giants-Jets game today kind of felt like that one, although we never had the big Breece Hall play in that other game. But the point is that Zach Wilson has matured. He's grown. He's become a man. Now, I'm not saying that, again, he's going to the Hall of Fame, and I mentioned that a few times that in my praise of Zach Wilson, that you have to kind of put that in a different way. But, man, that Zach Wilson was able to do that to his teammate. He could have easily said, dude, that was totally on you, man. Like, get your crap together, pal. You freaking, youngster with no real experience. Like, come on, man, snap me a better ball. You blew it for the team. Like, he could have easily thrown that guy under the bus, but he didn't. He just said, hey, man, that's on me. We'll get better. We'll do this. Screw it. Things happen. Move on. Let's go. Like, man, the maturity has been really cool to see from Zach Wilson. And, Zach Wilson, let's pull up the numbers here for old Zachy. Old Zach Attack. Where are the numbers for Zach? So let's see. He was 17 of 36 for 240 passing yards, a touchdown, 6.7 per clip, sacked 4 times, a QBR of 78.5, which is also the leading rusher on the Jets. That's not ideal. 4 carries, 25 yards, 6.5. Great on that 17-yarder he had as well, which was very nice. That was on the long third down conversion. And then he immediately followed up with eating the sack, rolling out to the right, which was terrible, which was absolutely terrible from that perspective. But, man, even though the stats are whatever, like, man, Zach Wilson, when it mattered most, the time up, 24 seconds, we got this. And he just delivered the perfect throw to Garrett Wilson, the perfect throw to Lazard, got the team up, spiked the ball, and he gave him a chance to win. It's, love it. I just love how Zach Wilson's played. For people who are asking for the link, again, it is pinned to the top of YouTube. It is the pinned link, but I'll also drop it in here again for anyone that would like to join the show. Again, the video link, the Cam 631 Laser Hotline. Feel free to click this, and you can join us on the show in the green room. All you need, everybody, like I said, is a working camera and be somewhat in the quiet. I just dropped the link in there, nothing else. So if you guys see that on YouTube, you guys can click that and join us here. If you'd like to vent, rant, whatever you'd prefer for this Jets-Giants postgame show. The Jets are freaking 4-3, baby. They're over 500, and the next 2 games are against eminently winnable opponents. And the LA Chargers are coming into your house, Monday Night Football, prime time, and then you will have the short week traveling to the Las Vegas Raiders, who have been a disaster so far this season, and you play them on Sunday Night Football. There's no one that scares you. The Raiders are a total disaster, and the Chargers offense, Justin Herbert, sexy. Like, there's some sex appeal from an offensive perspective, and the defense has some talent. Derwin James, You got Bosa, you got Khalil Mack, but the defense overall in totality is terrible. So a lot of opportunities that I love. We'll obviously continue to talk Jets Giants for this post game show, and we'll do it one more time for Board Green Daily tomorrow morning, and then we will officially shift the page over to Jets Chargers, which again Monday Night Football coming up. We got actually a spectacular guest list of people who would be joining us on the show. Again, make sure you guys check it out. Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show live every single day at 7:30 in the morning for about 20 minutes. So guys, make sure you check that as well. All right, let's go through some comments here. Let's get involved. Perfect throw. Ooh, Johnny is not a fan of what he saw from Zach Wilson there at the end. You'll see my eyebrows as I'm reading this. Perfect throw. Giants were 40 yards back in prevent. Who can't hit a wide open receiver? Giants are just stupid to change up the defense when Zach couldn't get a framing first down to save his life. Well, I guess that's one way to put it. I don't know. To me, perfect throw to Garrett Wilson. He found him. There's pressure around him. He finds a way to step up and make the play. The Allen Lazard one was another beauty. And who can't hit a wide open guy? Didn't Zach Wilson earlier in the game miss Breece Hall on that quickie on a 3rd and 1 play action rollout right in his hands and missed it? So you criticize him for missing it, and now he's criticized because it was wide open? You guys can't have your cake and eat it too. If you don't want to root for Zach Wilson or you don't think something's fine with Zach Wilson, that's nice and dandy. But let's be honest here. Let's give flowers where flowers are due. In a critical moment at the end of the game where he had to step up, he stepped up to the plate and did what needed to be done to win the game. And that's what I like. But, hey, different strokes, different folks. We can agree to disagree. If you guys agree or disagree, like I said, hop on the link and jump on the show and join me. I'd love to vent or debate with any of you guys if you'd like on whether it's a good, bad, or indifferent. So feel free to do so. All right. Randia here. Jets were 0.01% away from the Big L, according to the Gamecast. Yeah, I saw some of that from the ESPN analytics projections. It was not looking ideal. And by the way, I don't question. So Brian Dable at the end of the game, right? He goes for the field goal. They miss, which gives obviously the Jets the opportunity to kick a field goal. I'm kicking the field goal too. The Jets offense looked like trash the entire game. If that's a successful 30-ish yard field goal, which is well within Graham Gano's range, they're down 6, the Jets, and they need a touchdown to win the game. And the Jets offense had only scored 1 touchdown the entire time on a broken play where Breece Hall broke a lot of tackles. I don't know, man. Brian Dable, to me, made the right choice. Now, who made the wrong choice? With Saquon Barkley on one of the runs, like on first down, he had more yardage to go, and he just dove on the ground. Now, that one, because if they get a first down, the game's over. They get a first down and don't go into the end zone. Saquon Barkley could have ended the game with the ball in the Giants' hands. So if you want to blame somebody for some sort of tomfoolery at the end, you could blame Saquon for sliding early and giving up some yardage. Ultimately, that ended up being 4th and 1 later, so that could have cost them the game. But again, that's neither here nor there. JE, 100%. That was the frustrating part for me. Zach Wilson needs to learn to throw the ball away when no one was open. So again, on 3rd and long, he escapes out to the left, skirts the sideline, gets a massive first down. We're like, woo, huge play, Zach attack. And then on the very next play, he rolls out to the right, and he's just waiting, trying to see if something will happen, and you need to throw the ball. In every quarterback's head is an internal clock. It's going tick, 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 hit, tick, 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 tick. And some coaches reference it as hitches, right? When you look at progression number 1, and then, progression number 2, and you're going through the progressions. That's the same sort of internal clock you have to have. Zach, throw the friggin' ball away. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. On tape, you saw from Wink Martindale, they throw the kitchen sink at you all the time. So if no one's hit you within the first 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, like, it's not like wonder how this happened. Like, obviously, they're bringing the heat, man. They're coming at you pretty aggressively, and you got to make a play, man. And sometimes the best play to make is the one by throwing it to the stands, throwing it to Johnny over there in the stands, hoo-yah, and throw it out there. That was what Zach Wilson did not do a lot of this time. So that part was incredibly frustrating. Zach Wilson just needs to get rid of the ball. So, again, not perfect by any means, but that part I enjoy. I'd enjoy more if he would just be willing to accept the L here. Ronald Perry, are you people obtuse? Zach Wilson sucks. Well, again, Zach Wilson at the end of that game, 24 seconds, no timeouts, orchestrated his team down the field and got a win in some of these critical situations. Is he Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely not. But He's been much improved over what he's been in the past. And Ty Rapp, you're right. So many drop balls. Lazard, Brees Hall, even on a quick mano-y-mano, whoop, quick dump off, bleh, has the drop skis, a little bit of the Butterfingers at the concession stand. What the hell? Lazard, I'm like, geez, gee willikers, come on, man. So, oh boy, some brutal drops in this game. Absolutely. Again, the play calling was horrendous. What the hell is Nathaniel Hackett doing? They had a 3rd and 1, and the Giants put everybody and their mama in the A and B gap right in front of the center and guard. Can you give me a halfback sweep? Can you give me something creative? Like, they just try to run it, and boom, immediately gets exploded. And too often on some of these 3rd and 4th and shorts, they're going shotgun. I just hate that. I hate that. Now, I totally understand situationally doing it because of the center exchange. At least if you go under center and you have a center that you don't trust, as we saw with the fumble in the second quarter, or whatever that was, the bobbled exchange between Xavier Newman and Zach Wilson. Like, if you bobble it, immediately Giant defenders have a chance to jump on it, and they did. When you're in shotgun, at least Zach Wilson has a chance to, like, kind of play catcher back there and kind of corral it. Like, Xavier Newman had a high snap, but Zach Wilson kind of, one hands it and then hands it off to Michael Carter. Like, at least you have a chance in shotgun where the ball kind of floats somewhere by you in your general vicinity. Much better than you go under center and you're given the old set hoot, and then you're not even getting an opportunity to get your mitts on the football there. That's it as well. So, yeah, Jared, that may be some of the worst play calling I've ever seen. Just situationally throughout the entire, I just didn't understand. And Brees Hall, again, obviously did not have a great game from a rushing perspective, but why are we not getting this man in space? I keep going back to the Dolphins game last year, it was week 5. Brees Hall on the wheel route, Zach Wilson hits him in stride. It's like an 80-yard play. Like, where's that? Get him one-on-one with the linebacker and see what happens. So I know we can't get a lot of these long developing plays because you had an injured offensive line and an aggressive Giants pass rush, but I just don't understand. I just don't understand. That part of it is incredibly frustrating. Mike says, better get a new center like now. Yeah, because Connor McGovern is your starting center. He gets hurt, and in theory, you'd love to go to Joe Tippmann. He's out. Well, okay, you could go to Wes Schweitzer because he has some versatility. He gets hurt. Then you're going to Xavier Newman. Also, Laken Tomlinson was doing some snaps on the sideline. He never did it in the game that I saw. So I saw someone mentioned it on Twitter. Ben Jones, he's the longtime former Tennessee Titans guy. Jets flirted with him in the offseason. I believe he's still sitting at home. It'd be a Ryan Khalil-ish situation. So nothing's ideal with all the injuries the Jets had. But I would probably bring him in ASAP and try to see if you could bring him in, get him. He'd be familiar, obviously, with Keith Carter, the Jets offensive line coach. You need to do something because we don't know how long McGovern's going to be out. We'll get that officially tomorrow. And then Schweitzer doesn't look good either. So it's all no bueno. And unless Saleh was really being truthful about his optimism about Joe Tippmann being a quick healer and coming back quickly, I don't know if that is officially there. Wow, Broncos just beat the Chiefs. Denver snapped 16-game losing streak to Kansas City, which, by the way, now the Jets, that'll be all over Twitter, but the Jets now have the most active multiple loss in a row. That's the New England Patriots at 15. So now that the Broncos did it, the Jets got to do it later this season. That's week 18. That's in a little bit, but just that news coming in. So the Broncos getting the dub. Wow. Again, so this is my point. Okay? Broncos win 24-9 over the Kansas City Chiefs. There you go. Right there. Okay? Broncos win over the Chiefs 24-9. Okay? And everyone that is watching right now will say, well, Paul, that was a fluke. It's whatever. If the Giants would have won, some people would have called that a fluke. You figure it out. Kansas City, of course, is still a Super Bowl contender, and they lost to the Broncos today. You can lose to anyone on any given Sunday. The Jets figured it out. And that is, again, the moral of the story I will kiss my daughter with on the way to bed tonight, that, hey, you just got to figure it out today and then survive and live tomorrow and figure it out then. It's just a great win. Charlie says, doesn't even feel like a win. They played so awful. But it is. Check the record, baby. That's a dub. That's a dub up there. That is a dub. All right, let's get some comments in here. Again, the guys, I'd love for you to use it. The Cam 631 Laser hotline. It is the pinned comment on YouTube. It's also on Facebook, and I will drop it again here just so you guys can see it. I will drop that right now in the chat on YouTube. So if you guys would like to hop on over there, click that link. If you got a camera and you're in a relatively quiet spot, you can click that link and join us live here on the show. I'd love to hear some other fan interaction, some venting, some reacting to what just happened. So feel free to use that, and we'll bring you on. Once I see you in the green room and I see you're ready to go, we'll bring you on the show. Again, that is the Cam 631 Laser Hotline. And by the way, we're still got these to give out, baby. We gave 3 out on social media over the week. So if you guys would like some of this New York Jets license plate, pens, laser engraving, cool stuff, let us know. Maybe we'll give one today on the show. We got a few of them to give away, so feel free. If that revs your engine, feel free to share those comments in there. Maybe we could do that before we get out of here on the show. How long on Tippmann again? We do not know. They've been pretty mum about it. Saleh played around, so I don't know if that will be true or not. But Saleh played around all week, and then he was ruled out late in the week, thus indicating that he's. I don't know if close is the right word, but like, hey, it was open. It's not like he came out of the bio and said, hey, he's on IR or hey, he's out for the season or anything like that. He didn't say that. So hopefully that's good news. Let's see. Jet fans debating whether or not Zach Wilson was or was not the main reason that they lost, or they almost lost, by the way. I don't know if I'm willing to go to some of those places. I don't know if I'm willing to go to some of those places. Zach Wilson did not perform great, but again, the clutch factor was obviously there. All right, let's do it, baby. The Cam 631 Laser Hotline, which, by the way, is available to each and every one of you. Make sure you guys check it out. Again, the Cam 631 Laser Hotline. Here it is. For more information, visit cam at 631laser.com. Let's click the video link and go to one of our favorites who's been joining us the last couple of weeks. Welcome to the show, my friend.
How are you, Paul?
I'm doing excellent. How are you feeling after that one? That one was a little weird.
I was ready to do some damage in the house. I can tell you that. But
yeah.
It was ugly. That's fair to say. It was ugly. And quite frankly, if we didn't make them stupid penalties, we probably would have won the game 7-6 at best. You know?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Who knew? The 20, yes, and to get a field goal to tie it within 24 seconds. That is impressive.
When they did nothing the entire game outside of the Breece Hall thing. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think Zach Wilson deserves a little bit more credit than apparently he's getting in the comments section. That 24 seconds, and then the swag, as we saw earlier, he said, 24 seconds, no problem. We've done this all year. And I will say, to Zach Wilson's credit, the Jets offense has looked its best in 2-minute no-huddle situations, and he's just kind of flying by the seam of his pants, relatively speaking. They've looked the best they have, so hopefully they incorporate that a little bit more into the main offense moving forward. But, yeah, very impressive to do that with no timeouts, critical situation, spike it 1 second left. Yeah, beautiful. Picturesque.
Yeah, but how long can we're playing another team that's very offensive heavy, so
yes,
you're going to have to score points against the Chargers. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But hopefully they'll make some moves and beef up that O-line with whatever they can find.
Yeah,
like you said, we don't know. Well, hopefully if Tippmann, we don't even know what's going on with Tippmann. That would be good if Tippmann can come back and then we can slot someone into the
guard. Go right to center, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Would probably be the move for the Jets, and then you figure out guard. That would probably be the move if Tippmann's ready to go.
I'm happy we got the W. I've seen games like this before. 3-0 I've seen. So
yes.
A win is a win. I see some of the Jet fans that if Gano makes that field goal, we're not talking about the win. But Ifs could be a lot of different things. If we would have made a couple of plays, the guys didn't drop anything. Listen, bottom line, no one's going to remember this next week. Is all they're going to see is 4-3, and let's just hope. Let's hope Aaron Rodgers' healing is speeding up. That's all I can say.
That's for sure. And think about it. He was, look at it.
It's 100% tremendous.
Yeah, I didn't see all the injuries because we've been doing all this Jets coverage, but I saw, I think it's, was it Kirk Cousins blew something out? He's out for the season, I think, was the initial from there. Yeah, I may have missed that, but I'm pretty sure I saw that as a breaking news alert on the phone at some point earlier. Let me see if I could get it. No, I don't see it. But yeah, Kirk Cousins blew it earlier. There's injuries all over the place. And really what this win means, to your point, right? Like 4-3, we're all talking about right now, like, wow, how unbelievable and improbable was that? But you keep stacking wins however you get them. And to your point, the Aaron Rodgers dream remains alive. 4-3 to 3-4 losing to the Giants. Those are great levels of perception, a major difference, a major line of delineation between those two, and you keep finding ways. But to your point, in terms of sustainability factor, like the Chargers are going to score points. You're not going to be able to win many games with 13 points on the board, and 6 of those coming at the last second in regulation and overtime with that benefit. You're just going to have to find ways. So whatever is going on with Nathaniel Hackett and the third down conversion rate and also red zone, that has to be fixed, or else this Jets team will not be able to accomplish the things that they want to.
But now you got the Chiefs next Sunday in the morning in Germany against the Dolphins, both 6-2.
Yes.
One's going to be 6-3. One's going to be 7-2. If the Dolphins lose and Buffalo loses and we win again, we're just a half game out of the division lead against Miami. It's just simple as that.
Buffalo plays the Bengals, and I already saw that one earlier, that the 49ers lost their third straight, so they lost to that Bengals team. Bengals are now welcoming in Buffalo next week. So you have Buffalo taking on Cincinnati. They could easily lose that game. Miami, Kansas City, of course Miami could lose that game. And all of a sudden, the Jets right now are a game back of Buffalo, and they hold the direct tiebreaker. They still have both matchups with the Dolphins coming up on the slate. I don't know. I feel pretty good that everything is still in front of this Jets team. It was not pretty today by any means, but everything, the car is in the car is parked in the driveway, baby, and this thing can rev. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, we broke the streak of games we lose coming out of the bye, and
yes, thank
we're
God.
winning games we shouldn't be winning. Things are falling in our place once in a while. A lot of times this year, you know, it just takes something here, something there, and boom, all of a sudden we're driving the car and everyone's behind us.
That's right. And I can't wait. So hopefully they're able to manifest that energy, hopefully get some health, hopefully get some trade deadline action. That's coming up again Tuesday, October 31st at 4:00. So they have this week, a little bit of a long week because of Monday Night Football. So they have a little bit of time here, but they will face the short week after that with the Raiders trip. So a lot going on. But again, the Jets just need to regroup after this one. And I'm excited.
Let's hope for the best, my friend. Let's hope for the best. Have a good one.
Thank you so much. Yeah, of course. Thank you for tuning in. Again, the CAM 631 Laser Hotline, everybody. It's available for you guys, again, whether you agree or disagree. For instance, I want to bring this up. I brought this up, I think, a second earlier. Who said this? Let me see. So, Realistic Jets fan, I'm inviting you on the show. The link is pinned on the top of our YouTube. You say, oh, boy. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Have to believe Jets content people just won't blame Zach Wilson for fear of pissing off the front office. Join us on the show. Let's talk about it. You don't think I'm giving enough blame, quote unquote, to Zach Wilson? Let's discuss on the show. And fear of pissing off the front office. With all due respect, what does the front office have anything to think or do with Boy Green? Speaking in third person, let me, be straight. Nothing. So I have no fear. Here's my thing. I am a optimistic guy, glass half full guy by nature. That's how I live my life. You don't control the cards you're dealt in your life, but you can control how you respond to them. So I'm a very optimistic person, the most optimistic Jets fan on the planet. That's self-proclaimed. But when things are amiss, I point it out. Despite what other people may say, the Mecole Hardman trade, I gave the Jets a lot of business for that one, although I didn't see the 4:00 games in that window, but apparently Mecole Hardman had a big fumble that helped the Broncos upset the Kansas City Chiefs. So like some people could be dancing on me saying, Paul, yeah, nice dumb take there. So I have no problem calling things out when I don't believe something is amiss there. And again, Zach Wilson missed some big throws. He missed Breece Hall. That was wide open on a 3rd-and-1 conversion, hit him right in. He could have hit him right in the midst, which would have been the first down, but he missed that throw. So Zach Wilson has missed throws. Zach Wilson held the ball too long. So maybe you're just hearing seconds at a time or something, but if you're listening to this live stream, and there's a lot of takes going on in 40 minutes of talking here, but Zach Wilson was obviously not perfect. He made mistakes. He held the ball too long. He didn't hit throws consistently. What I love about Zach Wilson, again, glass half full guy, is when it mattered most for 24 seconds, he orchestrated his team down the field. They scored the game-tying field goal and then won it in overtime. That's what I saw from Zach Wilson. You can see all the other stuff, and all the other stuff really happened. He fumbled twice. Now, I only blame him really for the first fumble on the strip sack from KT. The second one, new center coming in, whatever. It's on his ledger ultimately. If you look up the stats, Zach Wilson, quote unquote, fumbled twice. So it will ultimately be on his death certificate, if you will, about that. But I feel like we're treating Zach Wilson as fairly as anybody here, that he had his fair share of struggles. So I invite you or anyone else that would like to jump in on the show and, discuss some Jet stuff. That is all within range. Absolutely. All right. Whoopsie. Here we go. We just had another comment here. Let me see that. I missed this one. There it is. Will McDowell may have distracted the kicker. He absolutely did. I saw the tweet from Zach Rosenblatt. I did not. My brain didn't see it live, I don't think. But yeah, Will McDonald jumps over and he's a big wacky waving inflatable arm flare like Jubei, like woo, and the Jets kind of like, oh geez, and then he misses it. So yeah, that absolutely was a factor. There's no doubt about it. So shout out to Will McDonald, an unsung hero certainly of this game. Unsung hero as well. What about Thomas Morstead, everybody? We don't have time. I mean, we do have time, but we don't have time to play the full clip. You guys can check it out on my Twitter. I may play a little bit of it here for you guys. Thomas Morstead, man. I love this man. I've had him on my show multiple times. Thomas Morstead is really cool. Really cool. I'll play a little bit of this. This is Thomas Morstead after the game, one-on-one with Ethan Greenberg. Actually, we'll wait on that because we just got a caller in, so we'll get to that. But Thomas Morstead, I just want to give a shout-out to hidden yardage. Him pinning the Giants back multiple times, especially in a game like this with field position. A major shout-out to Thomas Morstead. Got really emotional talking about how cool it was him being on this team. We'll get more into that later, but let's go back to the Camp 631 Laser hotline, baby, because that is available for people to call in and join in on the show. RJF popping in on the program. What's up, brother?
So, yeah, you called me in here, and
oh, Realistic Jet Fan. Yes, I should be able to do the acronym in my head, what that means. I have figured that out. What's up, brother? So, yeah, let's talk. Zach Wilson. Yes, sir.
So you've got the worst rated quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You got the team that's worse in the red zone, worse in third down. You've got a premier running back. You've got a premier wide receiver. Yet it's never the quarterback's fault. And that's what I gain out of Jets content, people. And it's a fear of irritating the front office, because if you irritate the front office, maybe you don't get the guests you've had on your show. That's what I was trying to point out.
So the things I'd probably push back on is, I don't know how it works for all content creators, but the Jets don't hook me up with anybody. So their inclusion in my guest Rolodex, that may work differently if I worked for the team and did stuff like that, or worked closely enough with the team to get some of that where that could affect my bottom line. That's a fair, conflict of interest. When you work for the team, you have to watch what you say. That's very, I don't know if public knowledge is the right word, but yeah, you have to watch what you say. Luckily, in my position, my bosses and everything allow me to say whatever the heck I want. So I don't get any of those restrictions, at least in my current gig of operation. So there's no effect there from my perspective, but maybe for some content creators that are closer, that could be the issue. But no, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what content creators you may be referencing, but a few of them I saw immediately after in the middle of the game. Jake Asman is a noted, I don't want to call him Zach Wilson hater, but he is very much like, hey, Zach Wilson, I don't like what I see. Matt O'Leary was like that on Twitter. Maybe there's some examples you have, but I don't know a lot of Zach Wilson truthers out there in terms of content creators for the Jets.
A Zach Wilson hater, so to say. He's not good at his position. I'm a Joe Douglas hater, and that's where Jake Asman refuses to place blame at. He came here to fix two things: an offensive line and a quarterback. He's failed at both. The Jets haven't made the play. His record is abysmal since he's been here. So it goes from your coach to your quarterback. The Jets took one great at the end of the day, but you won the game based on 2 missed field goals by the other team. If that's sustainable, if the Jets can win every game that way, then that's great. It'll be the first time in history it's done. Where this team is, in my opinion, is their quarterback is bad enough and their other parts are good enough for them to just miss the playoffs, to just miss a good draft pick. And then we're now searching for a new GM, a new coach, and a new quarterback for the next 5 years. And all I hear is, well, Zach Wilson did this for this second and this for the next second. And I think the Jets content people, you and other people, kind of lead this speed of like, this is good. Now, if they make one of those field goals right now, this conversation is a lot differently, and everyone now is more galvanized, and the team is more galvanized. Yes, Zach has got to go. Now, this is nothing personal against Zach Wilson. There's not a lot of people who can play quarterback in the NFL. This offense and what's going on, I hear it's the coach, then it's the offensive line, then it's this and it's that. And I have content on my site where he's just a one-look quarterback. If his one read is done, he's finished. This is not sustainable, in my opinion. So, for my opinion, this win is a loss because it's just that much further down the road till the Jets just inevitably don't make the playoffs again, and they're in the need for this again. Now, maybe I'm half glass empty. When you're half glass full, I feel like I'm looking beyond the surface of it. And the win was a win, but a garbage win. What does it tell you about the team? What does it tell you if you're Garrett Wilson trying to wonder if you're going to get paid one day and you can't get the ball? Yeah, Breece Hall couldn't run the ball, but the base of the Giants were daring Zach Wilson to throw. We dare you to throw. We're going to stack the line. So to me, this is a Zach Wilson problem, which more is a Robert Salah being just so stubborn and just wants to just die on the sword and be right about Zach Wilson. And maybe he's being told that by Douglas. Maybe he's being told that by the owner. But it's hard being a fan of this team watching this quarterback play. And I watched a lot of them at BYU, and I really saw this happening.
Yeah, that's wow. There's a lot of fair points there, especially on the two biggest. Obviously, Joe Douglas, the offensive line, which he's a former offensive lineman himself. So again, there is zero excuse for that in terms of what he was supposed to do and what he's delivered. That's as fair of that's a fair of a criticism as anyone could have. Now, quarterback at Zach Wilson will forever, until some miracle happens, will forever be that black mark on his resume. Rodgers, the injury is the injury, and we'll have to see. I still think that Rodgers' impact on the team and that acquisition, I think, has made some ripples. Again, we'll have to see how that story finishes out. We don't know what that will be. I'm curious, though, because, I would say people that may be in your camp that are more harsher critics, perhaps, of Joe Douglas than others, so what's the latter then? So if you fire Joe Douglas and or Saleh, if things continue to spiral south, right, they don't make the playoffs and all these other things, then once again, the continuity train is potentially thrown off the tracks. Like Joe Douglas has been better than his predecessors. That may not be saying much because they weren't very good, Mike McCagnon, John Idzik, or what have you. But the talent of the team, that 2022 NFL draft looks like a foundational draft. And without Joe Douglas, that doesn't happen. So it's better than before. But if you destroy it again, then what's the guarantee that it gets better? You know what I mean?
Well, prior to this year, basically McCagnon had the same amount of wins as Douglas. People don't really look at that.
I mean, the wins losses, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So McCagnon also drafted, Quinnen Williams and Jamal. If you get enough picks, you're going to hit something on there. But the fact of the matter is that you came in here for the two objectives were the two objectives, and you failed at both of those. Zach Wilson was a bad pick, and Becton was a bad pick. Almost literally every free agent was a bad pick. I mean, you can go through them on there. Other than anybody named DJ Reed. I mean, where is it? Is it Carl Lawson? Is it Corey Davis? Was that a good one? I mean, where is it? So to me, he hasn't done a good job at that. And I hear people just praising him. Buffalo Jet fan wants him to be the next GM for the next 10 years. I see the record. I see we haven't made the playoffs since he's been here. It's been last place every season. And I'm like banging my head against the wall. I'm like, what am I seeing here? And I'm literally arguing with other Jet fans. And I'm like, this is a black and white situation here. There's no moral victories here. The Jets aren't good enough. They may be in front of the Patriots this year, but it's doubtful they're going to be in front of the Bills or in front of the Dolphins with the way their offense is playing. The best defense the Jets have is the one that's on the sidelines watching the offense play. But the offense doesn't stay out there long enough. And they continuously lose the time of possession. And that defense is just eventually going to crack. Now, maybe it won't. Maybe we keep winning games like that. But I look beyond the surface and say, I just don't see that happening. I watched today's game, and I'm just miserable. I'm sitting there saying, God, let's just lose the game. You deserve to lose.
Oh, God.
You deserve to lose. Let's get closer to our new team because this quarterback isn't the answer. And Aaron Rodgers, and that's another Joe Douglas blunder. You're bringing in a 40-year-old quarterback whose kryptonite has always been a pass rush. and you're basically taking him from one of the best offensive lines in Green Bay to one of the worst. So you're bringing him in here without even fixing the line. What do you expect is going to happen? And nobody expected to be 4 plays into the game. But my God, it's like you're bringing in a guy that needs premium protection, and you're putting him in front of paper mache. It's just.
Yeah. I guess the pushback on the offensive line is I thought it had a chance to be very average this year. Now, unfortunately, injuries have ravaged the unit with all kinds of weird stuff. So that's, to me, that's incredibly unfortunate what happened there. And on the Rodgers, age thing, since 2018, he had appeared in 81 of 82 games. The only game he missed was COVID. So, what was going to happen? I guess you can't perfectly, we're not going to get an Aaron Rodgers in here until we have the perfect offensive line. While on paper, that sounds great. Sometimes you just got to call your shot. And to your point, with Joe Douglas's history in terms of his winning percentage, how many chances does he get? Does he have enough time to build a perfect offensive line? Oh shoot, no, I don't. All right, I'm going to get Aaron Rodgers right now because my job's on the line. So I think a lot of those kind of factors work in there as well.
Well, yeah, and I don't blame that for Aaron Rodgers. Again, his job was on the line, and he's unlike you and me. Joe Douglas in 5 years will be with another team. Probably Salah will be on another team, and you and I are stuck here as Jets fans. That's the bottom line. These aren't people that they're materially interested in making their money, and they're all going to make a good income. And Zach Wilson will not be the Jets quarterback, but he'll have made $35 million when he's here. So don't feel bad for Zach Wilson. But
sure,
what do we want? What does somebody my age want? I just want a winning record. I'd like to see a playoff game. I'd like to see us beat the Patriots one time.
That'd be nice.
I'm okay for little leaps of this, but this overall team is just, you shake your head in watching it. You watch the defense, who you can move the ball on. I think the Jets are a great defense in the red zone because there's less field to play with. But you can move the ball within the 20s on the Jets defense, and then they clamber down. But my God, that team cannot stay in that unit cannot stay in the field all game. And you got to start converting some third downs. When I see the tape, I can't blame the coach when I see Zach Wilson looking one way the whole entire time, and I see the running back wide open there with three blockers in front of him. So I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated with a portion. I'm almost going to say a majority of the Jets fans, because they're on these content pages that think that Zach Wilson's doing great, that Salah's doing great, and then Joe Douglas has done great. Where's the proof of that?
Let me ask you a devil's advocate thing here, which is interesting. So, like you said, that the defense can't hold up at this rate if this offense is playing this poorly. Let me ask you this. Again, you called it an ugly win, garbage win, something like that, with, again, how that it's not sustainable and all those things. But if the Jets find a ways to keep stacking wins and finding it by hook or crook, and then the defense playing great, isn't the Jets offense in theory eventually, again, this may be willful blindness for me, and I admit that, perhaps, that won't they eventually figure it out? Because, again, this offense was designed for Aaron Rodgers. So eventually, like, the red zone problems may fix themselves. That may be a little too naive, but, like, they'll get better. The third down will get better. Like, Zach Wilson will continue to get more comfortable as we go through the season. So the defense is going to be really good, probably outside of a critical injury that's going to happen. But can't the offense only get better from where it is? So if things are happening right now and the offense is inevitably going to get better weeks into the season and with weaker opponents, and that is enough of a combination to give them a chance at a winning record, give them a chance at making the playoffs, and we'll see what happens when we get there. Like, from a devil's advocate perspective, isn't that potentially possible?
Anything is possible. I don't think games like today are possible, but I think defensive coordinators and just NFL teams in general are very smart, and they basically have defensive coaches and they analyze everything. Basically what they're saying, the way they're playing their defense, they're begging Zach Wilson to throw the ball. It's almost like if those of you who are Yankee fans and you remember Aroldis Chapman would come in and he played, I would say, why swing? There's no way that he could throw 3 strikes before four balls. And it's the same way with Zach Wilson. There's no way that he could do something great before he does something terrible. And I think that's the way it's being coached defensively. They're basically saying, we're going to stack the line. We're not going to let you run on us, Breece Hall. You may get a play where he hits a Garrett Wilson while he's in motion. And someone on the chat in here said, well, he threw a 50-yard touchdown. Did he throw a 50-yard touchdown? Technically, yes. Or did he throw a 5-yard? So it's the way to look at it. I think the way the Giants coached the game was that we're not letting you, Zach Wilson, beat us. Now, did he make one or two throws or a pass interference call? Yes. But again, if you're going to make 40 throws, I just don't know if this type of winning is sustainable. You lose to the Patriots. You basically lost to Denver at halftime. All the Jet fans I was with left. Then you play well against the Chiefs. I mean, I don't know. You're 7 games in. I guess anything can happen. And I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be sitting here at the end of the day saying, wow, make the playoffs. It's a success. I just don't see that happening. I don't see the Jets winning the division. So you're a wild card team. So you're kind of looking at the plates out there. When I look under the surface, I'm just saying with a 25th ranked quarterback, I think you can make the playoffs with this Jets defense. Because if you have Garrett Wilson and you have Breece Hall and they are top 5 at their positions, shouldn't we be doing better? And if you know your offensive line is weak, shouldn't you be able to do other things to protect that? So I just don't think Zach Wilson is able to.
I just want to add that we're going to get the test Monday Night Football against the Chargers. As a few people have mentioned earlier, they're going to put up points. Jets defense is really good. So maybe it's not the normal pointitude. That's a made up word, but maybe they won't get to that stretch. But this will be the test of Zach Wilson that, all right, young buck, a Chargers defense that's really questionable, a ton of talent, but questionable from an analytics perspective. Turn the cap backward. Can he have the Chiefs game once again? And then paired to the defense, perhaps that's a challenge. But Monday Night Football, the spotlight will be no brighter than that opportunity, because this isn't the Tyrod Taylor, Tommy DeVito Giants offense. This is a serious offense that can legitimately put a point. So I think that ultimately will be the test to answer both of our things here about Zach Wilson. I think that's going to be a big test. That I do.
My last question is for
yes,
you,
sir.
Everybody else out there is, wouldn't this team be better with an average quarterback? Why can't we just find somebody else and just say to Zach Wilson, we got a shot this year. I don't think we're going to be able to sustain it with you, your numbers and the way you're looking. Just a quarterback who can make a second read.
Who is that though? So I'm all for playing devil, kind of going back and forth here, and I've enjoyed this conversation. So thank you very much for taking me up on my offer to do this. My question would be, and it's, it may not sound legitimate, but who is coming off the street? It's not Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle, to me, from everything we've seen, both historically and in spot duty in preseason, there's nothing there that inspires me. And obviously the Jets coaching staff, who made it a net negative, we're not even considering Tim Boyle. And then who else is out there? Carson Wentz's and Matt Ryan's, all these guys that don't know the offense, don't have any chemistry with these players. To drop them in midseason and to expect that to be an upgrade over Zach Wilson, to me, seems far-fetched. It seems hard to believe. Now, maybe in the offseason, we could have made a legitimate thing for one of those guys, but that didn't happen. But right now, trying to bring somebody else in, it just doesn't feel very Trevor Siemian, it just doesn't feel very realistic, or it's inconsequential in terms of whoever that Tim Boyle or Trevor Siemian, to me, feels inconsequential if you try to swap that with Zach Wilson, to me.
Yeah, I don't know who's available. I mean, if a Ryan Tannehill was available, or if somebody with some experience, but regardless of that, I just have a feeling, and I don't know these people personally, but it just seems like Douglas and Salah are just so stubborn. They would rather be right about Zach Wilson and just keep on playing him than actually improve the team. And I know that sounds crazy, but I just have the feeling that just from their body language and the way they interview, that they just want to be right about this player, that they've already basically said, you're not good enough to start. So now, as Jet fans, you feel like time is a wasting. It's like being a Yankee fan with Garrett Cole. You're realizing every year they don't do something. It's just another year wasted with this player. So you cheap running back. You've got a cheap wide receiver that are elite. It's like you could pay a quarterback, and you tried to with Aaron Rodgers, but now after that, another year wasted. It's another year contract. It's when is Garrett Wilson going to want to be paid and sit out, and Breece Hall, sit out, and we've got AVT's an injury problem, and Becton's not good at. So here you have probably your best chance. Wouldn't this fan base want to see something happen now? What else do we need to see with Zach Wilson to know that's not the guy?
All right. Well, RJF, I appreciate the call. Thank you for hopping on. There's a lot of points there. It was a good back and forth. We will see ultimately what Zach Wilson is going to be. Again, I think this Chargers game will be big. Before we go back to the call-in line, I see we got this from Douglas McClure, who sent in the super chat. Thank you very much. My God, is context a foreign concept for some of these JD and Zach Wilson haters? These are the same people that insist on a total rebuild every 2 to 3 years and wonder why we've been, quote-unquote, rebuilding for 50 years. Well, fair points, Douglas. There's no question about it. All right, we got another one in the Cam 631 Laser hotline. For more info, again, visit Cam at 631laser.com. Hep has been waiting patiently. Here he jumps on the show. Good evening, Pep. Hep.
Hey, Paul. I can't believe we almost lost to Danny DeVito. This is ridiculous. It's crazy, you know? But I want to say that these wins are coming at such a cost. We lost 3 players today, 2 offensive linemen and a run stuffer. I mean,
we're
Joe's
sacrificing like a ritual animal sacrifice, like a player's body has to be given up, apparently, for the Jets to win games. That's a 3rd torn Achilles this year. That's unbelievable.
We want a winning streak. Saleh and Douglas are going to have to put on helmets and get in the game.
At this current rate, the depth is unbelievable. The offensive line one is one that I'm sure scares a lot of people. And again, we are just I'm in a bad place when I'm waiting for bated breath with, well, Saleh did give some sort of optimism about Joe Tippmann. Me being on the edge of my seat for that, not feeling very optimistic about that, because that could obviously, I don't know if solve, that's probably too aggressive a word, but help solve some of those issues. If he plugs in right at center, it's more realistic to plug someone in at guard and you don't have those center snap problems that you had. So that concerns me greatly. Absolutely.
Yeah. Me too. Thanks, Paul. It's always good to see you.
All right, thanks, Hap. Yeah, you're the best, baby. Appreciate that. Again, the Cam 631 Laser hotline. For more information, visit Cam at 631 Laser. We have all these Jets bundles that we'll give away throughout the week. So, guys, thank you so much for doing the post-game show here. Thanks for all the comments. That was great. I'll end on this. So blame me for this. Right now, let me take this off real quick. I am wearing a Nick Mangold jersey. Okay, here it is. Nick Mangold. This is the first time I've ever worn this jersey. Like I ordered it, shipped it, and you wear it to make sure that it's the right size and fits. This is the first time I wore it today. I said, what a New York battle. You know, he's like, if you could cherry pick what Jets player in history means or epitomizes New York Fire Department, like if anyone could, it'd be Nick Mangold. So I wear it. I'm like, yeah, baby. And some sort of, bad juju. Connor McGovern goes down. He played center. Wes Schweitzer play a little center. He gets down. Xavier Newman survived my Nick Mangold curse here, but unbelievable. So that's incredibly unfortunate. I will not view it as a curse, Nick Mangold. I love you, buddy. So that's just an odd coincidence. But nonetheless, I will say this. I think ultimately with me and realistic Jets fan, who was commenting in and also jumped on the show again. In all honesty, really love the back and forth. It's good to hear from people, so I love doing it. I think ultimately this is just a factor of perspective. I'm a glass half full guy and realistic Jets fan, even by his name, perhaps, is a glass half empty guy. And you can look at a singular situation and evaluate it from multiple perspectives and come away with different takeaways based on things that occur, things that happen. And to me, I look at it glass half full. Zach Wilson, to me, has not been perfect by any means, but the parts that I'm choosing to highlight beyond the mistakes, that obviously happened in the game, is that I'm seeing those glimpses of potential. And one of the reporters asked Saleh in the postgame, I think it was Costello, but he said, is it frustrating that you're getting these flashes from Zach, but they're wildly inconsistent? Like it's almost like a tease, like, oh, it's right there. And if we could just get this all the time, we'd be just dandy. And Saleh kind of avoided that question from that perspective, saying, it's on the team, it's not just him and all these other things. But I don't know, man. To me, I can squint and see it. That Chiefs game, and while that wasn't, the greatest quarterbacking of all time, Zach Wilson looked good in that game. That's the first game I've ever seen him like, wow, he was just firing. It was just all there for him. And since that moment, and I'm getting these flashes, I'm like, okay, like he's not having the yips anymore. And I get it. The standard has shrunk. My standard of him being the number 2 overall pick was like here. And obviously as time's gone on, that line has changed. But last year, okay, He had the yips. He was skipping rocks across the pond. He couldn't complete passes. And we're befuddled. Like, what God's green earth is happening here? He has a confidence. He has confidence right now. And he is operating. He's not dealing, okay? And dealing by my meaning of high quality throws all the time, but he's operating the offense. He is getting the ball to the players. Sometimes they're drops, sometimes they're bad throws, sometimes it's terrible play calling, as we saw today, a little mix of everything. And again, I thought Zach Wilson held onto the ball way too long today, and that resulted in a sack or two. And situationally, okay, they blitz a lot. Like, I'd be like, not ghost, but on my peripheral, like, where the hell are those guys? Oh, there's KT, there's this. I'd have a little bit more awareness from that standpoint. So I think play calling was poor today. I thought Zach Wilson was wildly inconsistent and missed a couple of gimmies. So you could blame whatever you want, but he missed the throw. There were some drops and the penalties were atrocious. So that put them in a lot of net negative situations. But I will say this in closing to RJF's point of this is a garbage win and it delays the inevitable. I just can't be that negative Nelly. That's just not how I'm constructed. So it's incredibly hard for me to see it that way, that, man, they just need to get the L. They deserve the loss. They won the game. They found a way to win. And I will be the eternal optimist. They found a way to win, and that's what it's all about. It wasn't their day-to-day, and they won. It wasn't the Chiefs' day-to-day, and they lost to the Broncos. The same team the Jets beat. Think about that. Jets barely lose to Chiefs. They shouldn't have lost that game. Jets beat Broncos. Broncos beat Chiefs. You just figure it out, and you stack them at the end and say, hey, where are we at? Robert Saleh after the game said, they don't ask you how you did it. They ask you how many. And that's the damn truth. This is a results-oriented business. And RJF brings a couple of good points about Joe Douglas's overall record is not good enough. Saleh's overall record is not good enough. But there is some chutzpah this season that makes me believe they could get it done. There were parts of this game I did not, and I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be one of the worst, most embarrassing losses I've ever seen. But they figured it out, and there's a grit to that. There's a special quality of being able to figure it out, and that's the thing that stood out to me. Thanks, everybody, as always, for joining the postgame show. Whether you watch it live or after the fact, we appreciate you nonetheless. Tomorrow morning, every Monday, we'll have Italy Jet on the show. So feel free to hop on that. That'll be live at 7:30 tomorrow morning. We'll give some final notes and quotes, some injury updates, and anything that we have on this Jets-Giants game. Also get another perspective on it from Italy Jet. And, of course, thanks to our main sponsor. It makes all this possible, Cam631 Laser. So many amazing gifts and items. I will be giving out even more. Like I said, we gave out 3 bundles. Those will be shipping off this week. So, guys, always be around. You never know when we're going to do a giveaway and help support a wonderful Jets fan and a guy who has an amazing business. And also, he's just an awesome Jets fan. So, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow morning live at 7:30. Take care, everybody.